Thank you. I so appreciate you all. So, well, it's 4 o'clock, and I want to tell everyone thank you for stopping by and joining us this evening for a wonderful conversation and dialogue with our special guest, Henry Noble, who is a thespian in the theater, film, television industry, as well as he's a musician. And he hails from originally Oregon, Portland, Oregon, that is. And Henry studied acting when he attended Laverne University, and he studied theater while he was at Laverne, which is here in Southern California. After that, he actually attended the Denver Theater Academy, or the Denver Center Theater Academy. And when he finished from there, next thing you know, Henry started doing his auditions, and he got cast in local productions as well as national productions and as well as regional productions. He was such a huge success and hit. He, not too long ago, debuted in August Wilson's play called Gem of the Ocean, where he played the lead, Citizen Barlow. So I just want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. I sure do appreciate you, and I want to introduce you to my good friend, Henry Noble, who's not only just thespian, but he's also a really cool DJ as well. So he's known in the industry. He's one of the top DJs around, and I just want you all to give a round of applause and thank you for Henry Noble.
What's up?
So now, Henry, as I was reading your bio, I thought about your background and how did you start getting into acting, from moving from Oregon, Portland, Oregon, to eventually winding up in Hollywood? You know, how did you know that you had a desire to be an actor or to be a movie star?
Well, thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate it. And anytime I can get the opportunity to just talk about my background and kind of what brought me here, my story, it's just much appreciated. But to answer your question, I think what really drew me, or what really got me into acting, was just at a young age. I always was really just a creative person.
Mm-hmm.
And I was good with my parents would tell you that I was good at telling stories. And so along that line, I remember like we were all at a Chuck E. Cheese one time, and I was probably like, I could have been like 9. I think I was 9 years old. And, you know, my parents were eating, and we were all sitting at the table, and like the lady came up, and, you know, I was talking to her, and I gave her this like elaborate story, like my parents were archaeologists from Egypt and da 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 da. And so it was funny because everybody at the table got really quiet, and they didn't want to, you know, jump in on the joke, I guess, you know. But I just kept on talking, and I saw the power of kind of like stories that I told, and the lady just, I mean, she believed it, you know, although it was like, you know, it was made up. But I realized that just, you know, at a young age, you can have a lot of influence and power by doing so. And then later on, I think what really drew me was a teacher. You know, I was at school, and I was just kind of like just goofing around, and she handed me a monologue, and she said, go up on stage. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so I went up on stage, and I remember I read this monologue on stage. I'd never done it, but I read it, and something in it, I guess something in it had moved me, and the people who were watching me do it, they were like, wow, that was really good. And I think from that point on, I started to really realize the power of words and how you use them, and you know, telling stories and creating and bringing characters to life. And then from that point on, it was just like, it was something that I could not live without. It was like I had to do it. And so I had to learn, and I started to, you know, understand, like, you know, where do I go to, you know, take classes to learn, to develop this craft, to go to auditions. And in Portland, you know, at the time there was a lot of theater. So I did a lot of work in like regional theaters and theaters there. And as I progressed through the ranks, I went to drama school, where it's like I started to learn more of the foundations and techniques and things like that. And,
Mhm.
led to another. And when the opportunity came and I moved to California, doors just kind of like opened up. It was almost like it was just, meant to be.
So, so you said that when you were in school, about what grade were you in?
Gosh, I'm going way back. I think I was probably like about seventh, eighth grade.
Seventh. Also, you probably was like 12 or 13 and
Yeah.
you got the bug then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how did at that time, your parents, did they think that, okay, this kid is going to be a theater buff, or were they like, well, yeah, it's a hobby now, but we don't see you doing this?
I think at that point, your parents see it as kind of like a hobby, something fun that kids do
Mhm.
until they really, see them progress through it. And I think that's just what happened with me. It was like, I loved it. My parents thought it was cool that I did it, but never, I don't think never, but at that moment, they weren't thinking, okay, this is something that he's going to be doing like long term and everything else,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
but, they actually were very supportive of it, because they were like, you know what, wow, this is something that it's gained his interest,
Mhm.
something that he loves to do, and they're seeing the benefits and what it's bringing to me. So they were
Mhm.
very encouraging. At one point they were just like, you know what, we would rather you, go to drama school,
Mhm.
do the acting because it's taking your focus. It's, you're doing something
Mhm.
positive that you enjoy and you're seeing
Mhm.
the benefit from it. So they were very
Mhm.
supportive, which I love them for.
Right. So that's pretty cool. So then when you from 13 or 12 or 13 and then you went into high school and then did you go to a performing arts school or just a regular high school and you was taking theater classes while you were in high school?
Well, high school was kind of a different time, because I wasn't really, I was trying to, as a teenager, then you're just trying to fit in and just trying to see
Right.
where you're at. And theater and acting was not something that, I'd be like, oh man, I'm in the theater. It's like, no, you're not
Right.
football,
Right.
you're not playing basketball, you're not doing these.
Right. That didn't
Nah,
that didn't mix well.
yeah, no, you didn't. It wasn't like that. You didn't talk about like,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
So it was more just kind of like something that I kind of kept under wraps, just
Okay.
so then I didn't really talk about. I was like,
Um,
I would go to these classes that were not in my high school, but the high school that I did go to, very prestigious high school in Portland. A lot of movies were filmed there,
okay.
and it was a really, really, really artistic, place. But I never really took advantage of it because I was, kind of like afraid at one point to, be
Mhm.
exposed as like, okay, hey, he's in the theater.
Mhm.
So
Right. Right. And what was the name of the high school?
Ulysses S. Grant High School.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah, really
right.
good, really good. I mean, it's a good performing arts school. They actually did. They filmed a couple movies there. Like Mr. Holland's Opus was one. Actually, Terrence Howard, he had filmed there when he was like, I think he was probably in his 20s when he was doing
Really?
that movie. Yeah, Mr. Holland's Opus. It was Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah,
Uh,
I remember.
yeah, that was filmed at my high school. So that was a high school I
That
went
was
to.
at your, wow. Okay. So you were surrounded by it, but because you were trying to keep your image,
Exactly, exactly.
the macho side of it, you didn't want your friends looking at you a certain kind of way. So you kept it under lock and key. And so when you went into college and what made you decide to come to LA? Was it strictly because of the fact that you wanted to get into the film
Well,
industry and go to
you know what?
school here?
It was one of those things where it's like I thought I was going to be in the theater, because in Portland coming up, you have some amazing theaters. You have like the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. There's a lot of regional theaters and really
Right,
smaller
right,
theaters, where you get the opportunity to really hone your craft and really be
right,
on stage. I always say that um, some of the best actors come from the stage because of
right,
the work it takes for you to um,
right. Hi,
develop
Ray.
and just understand
Right,
what it is to like build a character and
right,
to bring it a lot. So at one point I thought, I was just going to be working in the theater,
Mm-hmm.
but that turned out to be, uh, somewhat, I guess true, you could say, in some sense. But then I think LA was somewhat of a goal at that time. I wasn't really thinking
Mm-hmm.
about it, but
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking like, hey, I'm going to go do Broadway and going to do some other things. So when I eventually moved to California and started to really get into the industry, I realized that, the film and TV industry was very similar to theater, like in New York. Whereas in
Mm-hmm.
LA, you have way more television and film focus. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but, uh, in some of the other places you don't. So.
Okay. So when you start, when you came to LA and then you finished school, and then did you get your first break in film after you finished school, or did it take a while for you to finally land something? How did that
You
go?
know what? A funny thing was, while a lot of my career had started, in Portland, and
Hmm.
I really got like my first kind of start in my feet wet in kind of like I was doing infomercials and local commercials,
Okay.
and so I think I got my SAG card when I did Men of Honor, and that was like my first big break, being on a major motion picture, Robert De Niro, Cuba Gooding Jr. And that for me was just so exciting because it was like, I was a young man. I finished high school and I'm, still kind of figuring it out,
Uh-huh.
but I didn't have an
Uh-huh.
agent. I was actually
Uh-huh.
working as an extra, and
Uh-huh.
one of the late, I think her name was Emily Dunlap. She was like, "Hey, I want you to go in for this. They have like a role or something like that for this movie that they're going to be filming in town." And I was like, "Really?" And I was so excited because like I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And
Right,
I
right,
remember I
right.
remember into the audition room and you know, not really familiar with the like the film audition, the process. But I went in
Uh-huh.
and I was I was truthful. I was honest,
Uh-huh.
and I
Uh-huh.
read, and I did all kind of crazy things in the room, and I was just like, oh my god, what was that about?
But they
But
liked
I got
it.
I guess so, because like I got the part, and I was like, but it just was me telling the truth,
Hello?
and just being honest
Uh-huh.
and being yeah, and just really
Uh-huh.
sticking to it. I got the part, and it was one of those
Mhm.
things where it was life changing, and
Oh, I bet.
it just made me want to do it even more, and working on
Right.
set and working with the actors and seeing
Mhm.
how the movies are all put together and just the amount of time and
Mhm.
my scene was when I filmed it, my scene was like the last scene of the day, so all this pressure was on me, and I had a little trailer, and you feel great when that's
You
happening.
feel right,
You feel
absolutely.
good.
Even
Like,
if
wow,
it's
I got a trailer, I got my name on
exactly.
there. I'm getting paid to do this. This is incredible,
Uh-huh.
But the nerve-wracking part was I was the last scene of the day,
Uh-huh.
and they were like, "Hey, we're ready for you on set." And so I, they bring me out on set, and if you've ever worked on set, you realize that there are so many people uh, it takes to make a movie,
Yes,
like hundreds of people. So
absolutely.
it was my scene, and it was with Cuba Gooding Jr. and another actor, I forget his name. And I remember being out there, and we were outside, and it was so quiet. You could have heard a pin drop outside, and I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god!" So,
Were you nervous?
oh my god, yes, I was terrified because it was like you're thinking like this is your first like you want to do a good job. It just
Right,
means that
absolutely.
you want to do a good job, and
Absolutely.
I wanted to do a great job. So
Absolutely.
I remember my lines. I was excited, and I remember they were like, "Hey, you're gonna stand over there. He's gonna walk past you. You're gonna say your
Right.
line, and then then you guys are gonna go on the bus." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm ready." They're like, "You ready?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready."
Right.
So there I am, and the guy, he holds this like this boom mic, which it seemed like it was maybe like 75 feet long. It was so long, and I was
Hmm.
like, "Oh my god, look at this massive boom mic!" And then
Right.
action, you know, the dad
Uh-huh.
says speech. Cuba Gooding
Uh-huh.
Jr. him and talking, and then he walks past me, and I go,
That's funny.
nothing came out.
That's real.
Nothing came out. I was like, you know,
So
my voice
so
is
how
dying.
many takes did they have to do? So how many takes did they have to do for your scene?
You know what? It was a couple, but it was just like, you know what? This was like when you're starting out, you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. You know, you're almost hitting yourself going, wow, this is actually happening. So it was one of those moments where I had to really, I had to just click in and go, wow,
Right,
I'm
you
on
had to
set.
focus.
I'm
Right,
in here. Like this is happening.
right.
So we did it like a couple more times, and
Uh-huh.
then I started to settle in, and then I said my line, and then I did it again, and before you know it, it was over. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh my God, you know, like it
Hmm.
was something that I had built so much anticipation up to doing, and it went
Right.
by just like, and it was so quick. I wanted to do it again. I wanted to do it more. I wanted to do it every day.
I know that feeling.
You get, then you're just like, oh my God, you're hooked. And then it's like when you see the finished product
Yes.
and you see the movie, and then you see your face, and you see you know,
Mhm.
you're in the credits, and you see the amount of work that it took to get there and do it. You
Right.
can't stop.
So, so about how old were you when this happened?
Oh God, I don't. I was probably maybe like 18, 19, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And Men of Honor was directed by one of my fellow alumni,
Where's Tillman?
George Tillman, because we went to Columbia College together.
Right.
So, and we graduated the same year. So that was, I mean, that was a good start because he had produced, wrote and directed Soul
Yep.
Food, and then shortly thereafter Men of Honor. So you was coming in right in, and I loved that film. That was so good.
Yeah, it's like
So
what,
after
20, I think 20 years ago almost.
wow, isn't that
Yeah, it
something?
was like,
So that was a good, and you got that. You just heard about it, and then you went for the audition. You didn't even have an agent or anything like that. You just went on your own and booked it.
yeah. Well, basically, it was like, you know, I was at the time, again, I was working with this, like, it was an extras casting, you know, so
Okay.
I was working as like, you know, like, I think when you're coming up to, you learn how to be an extra and all these other things. And this
Mhm.
lady who had been, you know, working as an extra on like little various, you know, little infomercials and things like that, she got me the audition, you know, and I think that
Oh,
was like
that
my,
was nice.
yeah, that was my first little introduction.
So then after doing Men of Honor, you're feeling pumped, you're excited, your confidence level obviously is up. What was the next thing what was the next thing that you got into? Was it another play, or was it what was your next film after that, or your next TV um, spot that you had gotten
But
afterwards?
I think that during that time, because I was still getting ready to go off and, you know, go to college. Uh,
Okay.
that period, because again, like I did that movie, and there was that period where it's like, you know what, I think I need to go to college. I think I need to go do some more learning and just really
Mm.
develop my craft. And that's what I
Mhm.
did. So during the period of time, it was like it was a couple of years where it was like, you know, I
Mhm.
went to drama school in Denver. Then it's like I
Mhm.
went out to Verne and
Mhm.
continued to just, you know, do theater
Mhm.
because I thought that,
Mhm.
okay, hey, theater is going to be the route that I'm going to take.
Right.
And I think it
Right.
wasn't until I think late, maybe sometime after I graduated um, college, and like went back up to Portland, just, you know, did some things in there,
Mhm.
and then like came back down to LA. I was like, well, maybe I should, you know, get into some, you know, some film and TV.
Mhm.
Um, and from that point on, you know, having that knowledge and having that training and just developing,
Mhm.
taking that
Mhm.
time to do so, it was
Mhm.
invaluable. And it really was helpful for me because when I stepped into the arena in the TV and film
Mhm.
space in LA, it wasn't as intimidating.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
competition, but it
Mhm.
was more fun because it was just like in the theater, you really, really, really learn your craft. You have to
Right.
develop. You have to you know, you get on stage, you don't get any second takes. It's just like when you get one chance, you go. So
That's right.
for me, it was like, oh, okay, cool. This is what we're doing now.
Okay.
You know, so I developed that and that skill to make it realistic and everything else. But for the most part, it wasn't as I think a major shift for me. And I think following that, it was several years later. I think I landed a TV spot on. I think I did NBC's Grimm. You know, where I worked with Russell Hornsby, and it was so funny because I had done a play here in Los Angeles at the Ebony Repertoire Theater, and I had worked with all these, you know, phenomenal actors, and you know, they were on Broadway, legendary folks, and it was a trip because I had done that, and he happened to be at the show, and so we talked afterward, and so when I saw him on set filming, he was like, "Oh my God," you know, and so it was kind of cool, you know, and we were getting a chance. So that was like, I think from that point on, it was like I did Grimm, and then it just kind of just snowballed into the next project.
So I know, because how we met on the set of It's On You. And during that time when we were shooting It's On You, which is now on streaming on Amazon Prime. Hi, Sophia. Hi, everyone. I see you. I didn't want to interrupt the flow. But we met on the set It's On You. And during that time, I remember that you had to fly back out to Montana because you were also on the set of Yellowstone, which featured Kevin Costner, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us about your role on Yellowstone?
Absolutely. So, yeah, as Saundra had mentioned, we had met on the set of It's On You. It was just, you know, it was a feature shot here in LA, and at the time I was actually in Montana, and I was doing episode of Yellowstone. And how I got that same thing, it was just one of those things where as an actor, you're going to go on auditions, and you're going to go several times, and you're going to get 1,000 no's before you get that one yes. And Yellowstone kind of nowhere, where it was like, you know, I put something on tape, and you know, just submitted it, or my agent submitted it, and I didn't hear anything for like, I'm thinking like a month or so, or maybe even longer. And so then I get this email that says, "Hey, you know, are you available to shoot dates?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm available." And then I didn't think about it anymore. After that, they're like, "Hey, they would like to book you for Yellowstone," and I'm going, "Really?" You know, so it was kind of a surprise. It was a pleasant surprise, but they were just fantastic, you know. And so they flew me up to Montana. I was there for probably about a week, and I shot my episodes, and then, you know, just had a ball in Montana. Montana's a lovely place, and everyone, you know, just gracious and just happy for me and happy that I was there. And I did that, and then I flew out like as soon as my scene was over. And I'm glad I did, because I think like just hours after I left, it just started snowing. I probably would have been stuck in Montana, but you know. And then during that time frame, I had got the script for It's On You, and I was reading that in my hotel room. Actually, during my filming of Yellowstone.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
Because like, you know, I wasn't sure if I could do it or not. I was like, yeah, you know. But I read it, and it resonated with me, just the story and just the father, you know, with the son, and trying to show him, you know, show him a better side of life, you know, and wanted him to be the best he could. So that was something that really resonated with me. So I did that movie as well when I came back, and that was also fun, a good experience.
So after Yellowstone, let me ask you this: when you're going to like big auditions for like such as working on the set of Kevin Costner, or people such as on that level, is there a method that you use that prepare yourself? I mean, what do you do to get in that frame of mind to present your best before the casting directors? Because, you know, sometimes it's just one person, sometimes it's, you know, it could be more than one person. What do you do before you go into that audition?
Well, first and foremost, I said you always just got to live in your truth. and you have to be
Mm.
truthful to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and can't show up as somebody else if you're not true to yourself first. And as
Okay.
the most important thing is for you to show up as you. So
Right.
every time I enter the room, it's going to be me. It's not going to be Henry acting as someone else. It's going to be
Mm.
100% me. And
Mm.
but to
That's
say
good.
me, and this is what I think I can do with the role. This is what I'm going to do. But for the
Right.
most part, what happens is too many times people come in and they think that the casting director wants to see them act, and that's where things get really tricky, because they don't want to see you. They wouldn't have called you in. There's something obviously that
Exactly.
they like about it, and that's what they want to see. They want to see you create from what you have, not come in there and go, hey, I'm going to show you all these things and do all this stuff. So I
That's
just make
great.
sure I always show up as my authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
Just be grounded and have fun, because again, the business is tough as it is, but
Mm-hmm.
as long as you just stay grounded and
Mm-hmm.
you love what you do, I said it's going to show through work. You're gonna have time, and casting directors will see that. They'll see right through the
Absolutely.
people who are desperate. They'll see right
Right.
through people
Absolutely.
who are just thirsty, who are just like, oh my God, I need the part so bad. It's like, no, you know what? It's a two-way street. You might want me, I might want you, I might not want to work with you, because
Right.
again, it is going to be the best part for you. So it's a
Exactly.
two, and as long as you just don't give up all of your power to desperation, and you just have fun, be truthful in the moment, and that's it. And then just let it go, because again, you're going to get hundreds and hundreds of auditions, but the ones that I think the casting directors remembered me the most from were the ones that I can recall where I was carefree, I had fun,
Mm-hmm.
and I was my authentic self. I showed up as myself. I'm gonna be like, yes, and just had a good time. I've
Mm-hmm.
been in like plenty of audition rooms where it was like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, I read for um, it was for it was the Jack Reacher. I read
Mm.
for that series,
Oh, okay.
not to be
Uh-huh.
Jack Reacher, but but I read for the series, and
Right.
the series, I remember, um, they really, really, really liked me, and they went with someone else, which was fine, but they told the agent, they said, no, we really enjoyed him, but this other
Right.
guy went with
Mm-hmm.
him. And then when I
Mm-hmm.
saw the other guy do it, I was like, wow, he was really good. And that's what was
Mm-hmm.
meant for him. And that's another thing. It's like, um, don't block your blessings, because what's for you, it won't miss you.
Exactly. That's exactly how I
Right.
see it. And half and,
Yeah.
and half of the battle, I also feel, is being able to get in front of the casting director. If you can get in front of the casting director, you've won a huge. That's a plus in my book, because sometimes it's just hard to even just get into the room. If you manage to, if they want to see you, well, at least there's you somewhere fit in where you're what they're looking for. And so that's even a plus. If you had to, who in the business that you would like to work with? Is there an actor that you would like to work with?
You know what? There's, I mean, there's several, and it's, and hopefully, God willing, there's an opportunity to do that, to work.
Uh,
Um, some of them I know that have like kind of, they've been around forever, but I'm trying to think of like people who I'd be like, oh wow, I want to work with them.
uh-huh.
You know what? Yeah, that's a good question. I'll have to think about that. Like all, because I
You
have
have to
all,
think about that.
yeah, and the
Do you?
right project too.
Uh-huh. Do
Hold on, Doug.
you? That's your dog.
Sorry.
Do you? Do you prefer? Do you prefer drama versus comedy versus romantic comedy versus thrillers? Like, what do you really enjoy?
You know what? I prefer a good story, and I
Mm,
prefer a character that's going to, just something that I'm going to look at, and I'm going to, really want to, I guess find out more about what makes this person tick, because at the
mm,
end of the day, when we read these characters, it could be the everyman. Um,
mm,
he doesn't have to be you know, superhero or anything else, but it's like, what is it that's going on in his life that is, you know, making him do these things? And so the more we can like uncover the truth of like the humanity within the character,
Mm-hmm.
story, and bring it to life, those are the stories that I like. I love dramas, but then I've also done like, you know, romantic comedies where they were just total slapstick and cheesy, corny jokes.
Right.
And it was like,
Right.
and then I was sitting back going, just like going, what did I do? But I did it. It was fun. You know, it was fun. And it's lighthearted. So again, love dramas, but you know, again, I'm all open to, you know, doing something very lighthearted too, because you know, not everything has to be so serious, and you know,
Exactly.
you can have fun. Just so you have fun.
So let me ask you this as well. You are a writer, I know, right? Do you have any upcoming projects that you're working on or that you're seeking to produce or anything like
I
that?
do actually. I have a project right now that I'm just, you know, I'm working on myself, you know, and it was
Mhm.
something. It is a project. Yeah, it's sorry, my phone is.
Hello?
I'm on my phone.
Mhm. Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
Project that has just been on my mind, you know, since I think college. You know, a senior thesis I did, um, and it was called Robert Johnson Trick the Devil. It was based off of the life of the legendary blues musician Robert Johnson. And
Mhm.
so, you know, I'd always been fascinated with his life and his story because I think so many of us can resonate with just having a dream and going for it. And that's what
Mhm.
it talks about, his dream. And he wanted to be, you know, a well-known blues musician. And although his life was cut short
Mhm.
at a young age, he still left
Mhm.
such a lasting impact on blues and the music. So during the pandemic, I wrote um, this short film that I'm going to work on hopefully this next year, uh, and do.
Mhm. And do you have an idea where are you going to shoot in LA or are you going to shoot it somewhere else?
I'm thinking like we're gonna probably shoot it in Mississippi, just because you know
Oh,
that's,
'cause the blues. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we just want to keep
Mm-hmm.
it we want to keep it historical. We want to keep it truthful, and then
Mm-hmm.
a lot of his life centered around being in Mississippi,
Mm-hmm.
specifically like Hazelhurst, Mississippi, and just down south. And we want to capture the essence of like the sound and the people and the story.
Right.
I think it'll be really just important that we shot it there.
Right. So let me ask you this question because I know this has been the conversation I've had with other fellow actors
Mhm.
is how do you feel as an African American actor uh, and the British invasion that we've seen over the last few years? Um, I won't say his name, but it was a big deal in Hollywood because he spoke out about so many roles that are traditionally there are stories because they took place here in America. But a lot of times these roles get cast from people who are coming from overseas, from Britain. How do you personally feel about that? Or what would you like to see um, different or at least an addition to?
So definitely, you know, I hear about it all the time, and you see it, and it can be very frustrating to a lot of us because you know a lot of the brothers and sisters here, we've trained with a lot of those same teachers who are from London or who come over here,
Right.
have the exact training. We are just as talented,
Yes.
and as we don't get those calls, and we're kind of going like, well, why can't we? You know, so again, there could be things behind the scenes that we don't know of that we're going like, why is this person getting this over me? And hey, I'm from South Central, and you know, this person's from, you know, London, and you know, he's in a show, and you know, he's putting on this accent of to be like an American or African American
When they have top-notch actors here that are American, right?
who can probably do it. So, you know, again, there are definitely factors where it's like, you know, yeah, it's out of our control. But what I would love to see is just more equity in the sense that, you know, if they get those opportunities, maybe we get those opportunities to go over to London and do some things over there, or vice versa. Because again, there's enough work for everyone, and I'm not knocking them because, you know, again, I've
Right.
worked with them, and you know, I definitely don't, begrudge them or look down upon them, and hopefully they don't look down
Yeah,
upon.
of course.
We're all in this. We are all in this together, and we
Right.
shot. But I would love to see just more equity in the sense where it's like, yeah, if you have a preference over, one actor versus another, okay, cool, you're gonna go within that, but don't pick them specifically just to say, oh yeah, he's from London, No, that's
Right. Yeah, exactly. Just because they got the accent.
and I love my folks over there. So it's like, yeah, it's like, and I'm sure they would say the same, but I think that there's enough opportunities for all of us. And
Absolutely.
we have here too. We have folks who have, gone to Yale and Juilliard,
Yes.
and studied with, in London, and who have done shows. So it's like, again, it's a preference, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Do you, is there any director that you would like to work with?
Woo! You hit me with some good ones, huh? You know what? There are some. You know what? There are several directors. I would definitely want, like, look, Antoine Fuqua.
Oh, yes.
Martin
Yes.
Scorsese.
Well, I'm sorry. Who was the other person?
Martin Scorsese.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just a director who's going to be, one, supportive of him, who's also going to push you to, be a better actor and bring the best performance possible. So, I mean, there's several, and those are just a couple that came to mind.
What about James Samuel? I just love his James Samuel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So what I'm going to do now, for those of you who would like to ask questions, I'm going to send you the invite to come on into the room and ask some questions. So I saw, let's see, Debbie, I know, let's see. If you want to come in, let me know. I'm sending the invite.
I'm saying tap in where you're from too, like put it in the
tap in. Yeah, tell us where you're from. Okay, let's see. Hi, T.
How y'all doing?
And how are you?
Fine. This is my friend T from South Carolina. We met at the NAACP Image Awards. So, yeah, beautiful person, beautiful spirit. All right, T. She said she's gonna be ready. There you go.
Okay. Hey, Mr. Henry, how you doing? I have 2 questions.
Okay.
What's your most challenging role?
My most challenging role as gosh, my most challenging role, I would say, is being a dad. I would say,
Okay.
I was like, that's it. Like, I have a son. He's 17, and a daughter, and they're teenagers. And I would say that's the most challenging role of anybody. So I just commend all the people who are parents, because acting for me is like, that's easy, that's fun, because I'm able to put so much of myself into it and really enjoy it. But it's like, when you're raising other adults and young kids, and you're trying to show them just show them direction and support and love and nurture, and get them to a good place in their life. That is tough. Acting is, for me, that's fun and I love it. So it's not anything nearly as as difficult. But if I would say a role that was really tough, or it was it took a lot out of me, I recently I did a play in Portland, and it was Gem of the Ocean, and it's August Wilson play. August Wilson's plays are very, if you're not familiar with them, really intense writing, and it captures the essence of, like, the African American experience in in America, and it's tough. So it's like, a lot of that is like you relive that as you're saying the words, and as you start reading the you're really starting to you start to dig in, and it has an effect on you. So I remember when the show in Portland, and I remember it just weighing on me a lot, because I performed it I think it was like 7 nights a week. I did like Tuesday through Sunday for like 2.5 months, and it was about this young man basically living within his truth. It really takes its effect on you. It takes its hold on you. So it's like, after that show was done, I really had to take some time and just do some self-reflection, and just really take like uh, a mental
Depressed.
break. Yeah, just
Yeah.
a mental break from from doing some things that just kind of like really, because it really had an effect on me.
Yes.
But that was one.
So let me ask you this too. Um, have you did a role that resonated with you personally? Like it almost mimicked your personal life? Have you ever came across that?
Um, I have. There's again, like I think a lot of the roles that we find, and as actors, there's similarities, and sometimes there's no similarities, but you have to find the things that why you love this character. You could be playing a psycho killer, but you got to find what you love about the psycho killer. Again, because if you can't be, you have to be the first judge.
Right.
Because if you can't like love something about this person, when you go to portray him or her,
Mm-hmm.
no one's gonna believe you, because it's like, again, you have to have that something that's in you or in that character that is drawn to you no matter what. One of the roles I think that was that I had just recently done was I played the father in this movie. It's on You on Netflix. Saundra. And it was good. What resonated with me was it was very reminiscent of like Boys in the Hood, But for those of us who've come up in the hood, or who've come up without like fathers or mothers present, or in these tough situations, like how do you maintain that resolve, and you keep on going? You have like male figures in your life who keep pushing you to get out of it, or female figures who so doing this movie, it was shot, in South Central and some other places. And, I play a father
Mm-hmm.
with his family who was trying to, guide his son to, really, do something with this life. Don't just be limited by, what you think and you feel and you see around you. It's like, there's a whole world out there. So that was one of those roles where really it was like, yeah, this is very similar.
Right.
Nice. Nice.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
there
So those are the questions I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, T. Is there anyone else who have any questions? Anyone has a question to ask, or they would like to know? Henry, you're also a puppeteer, correct?
Yeah, you know what? So there was this organization I used to volunteer for years ago, and again, as an actor, you kind of like you start picking up all these I guess skills. It's called Kids on the Block Awareness Program, and I started off as like a volunteer. It was to become like a puppeteer, and so they trained us on like bunraku puppetry, and we would do these educational skits for schools and everything else, and I ended up just loving it and doing that for some time. So yes, a puppeteer.
Amazing. And how long did you said for some time, for like a
Oh
year?
God, no, it was probably about 4 or 5 years I did it.
4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
Man. Wow, how different is that, being a puppeteer versus you being the center of being on stage?
It's actually nice.
It's kind of
It's
okay.
tiring. It's a lot of work. People think it's really easy, but it's a lot of work. Because you're holding the puppet, you're manipulating the mouth, you're talking, you're using your voice, but you're using your hands.
Right.
To,
Hey Henry, not to cut you off, can you position your phone, because it's like you're going, the pixels are going in and out. I can hear you clearly, okay, but for some reason the picture is
not working. I don't know.
It's like it's messy. I'm trying to think, should I bring you back in, or I don't want to lose our audience, so I can hear you fine.
Okay, just keep this. It's all good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay.
Look, I'm on my phone, but it's I have all the bars and everything else. So.
Oh, okay. So I see you. It's just that it's like it's acting like a computer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So so with that being in mind, and you say if there was anything that you would want to accomplish in your career at this journey and point in your life, what would it be at this point?
You know, just that's definitely something I have to think about, because again, each year is different, each day is different, month is different, but definitely more consistency in the roles and the quality of the role.
Right. Oh
that,
yeah.
Be and then be recognized for the work that I do, which would be good. It's nothing I'm just like, you know, seeking validation for, or from anybody, but
Right.
when you're working in the field, sometimes you do want to be like, you know what, I've done this, and you do want that, you know, I guess you could say appreciation, just so then that way, you know, it gives you that sense of, you know, hey, I've been in this, I'm doing it, and I'm being recognized for the amount of time and the roles that I've created and I've put out there. So,
would you like to get that Emmy or Screen Actors Guild or Oscar?
you know what, I would definitely say, look, I'm not gonna, like, I'm not going to, you know, cry if I don't ever get one, but yeah, I got one. I would definitely say, I would say the SAG award, just because you're nominated by your peers, you know, and other actors. And that would mean more to me, you know, than like versus the Oscar or anything else, because again, those are studio driven versus, you know, actor driven, which, you know, the peers, your actors, you know, they both.
Right. And so, well, you know, there's always new roles that are coming out. And like I always tell you, don't wait on Hollywood.
No, you just got to create your own.
You got to create it yourself. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And then, of course, you network. If there was some advice that you would give to other young actors that are coming out, or, you know, not even necessarily young, could be people, because people reinvent themselves. They start at a later age to want to get into the business and get into acting. What advice would you give?
Well, definitely know what kind of business you're getting into, and do it because you love to do it. It's something that you want to do, enjoy it. Too many times people get into it, want to be famous. That's the only thing.
Right.
Fame. And what you end up with is, you know, broken promises, hurt feelings, and just disappointment if you're shooting for fame and you're not even like, so I would say definitely get into the right reason, and that could be because you want to tell some fantastic stories. You want to, you know, really, you know, you want to mentor and help people and things like that. So again, it kind of goes back to whatever drives you, motivates you. It's like something in me that, you know, I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to tell these stories. I've always wanted to, you know, be on stage, because it was something that I loved to do, to tell stories, you know, be part of them. So again, getting into the business, I would say be patient with yourself. You know, don't sell your integrity. And then, like, one actor told me, he said, God rest his soul. He said, lend them your talent, don't sell them your soul. And if you can remember that, then you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Excellent. Well, Henry, I thank you so much for tuning in tonight, for sharing your time with us here at Into the Room. I would love to bring you back when you're have a new role that, you know, that you're in. We can talk about it. And of course, I love the work that you've done. I've had a chance to work with you, and I know you bring your A game to the stage, to the set, and I know I can only imagine how it is on stage, because I love theater. In fact, I love period piece, and I understand that feeling when you said, in Men of Honor, when you did, you played that role, and right after you was thirsty, you was hungry. Hi, Kings. Hi, everyone. So many people coming in. Thank you, you guys. And I know what it feels like to be, it's something about when you've like nailed a role, and to where you felt like you could just show what was in you. In the case when I was did Macbeth, played like 5 different characters that, and you know, I played the witch, the doctor, you know, I was playing the poet, you know, so,
Yeah.
and to do it as many nights that we did, when you're done, you're hungry. You want more of it.
Exactly.
And you just want more of it. Now, some people, when they had that high, when it's time to come down, some people can't cope with that. And, you know, some actors get into depression. Some, you know, they hit them real hard. You know, have you ever been at a point where you felt like, oh man, what's going on? Or did you just like keep yourself motivated and just kept trucking and, you know, into the next thing?
Normal. It's like there are, and in this business, there are extreme highs and then there are extreme lows. You might be like at the top and you do this role and you get paid all this money and you get treated like a star, and then the next week it's over and you're back going, oh man, I've got to get back out there and audition. So there are some highs, but there's some lows. And so during those lows, you have to remember to, you know, one, what's important for me is like my family, but then also two, making sure that I have things and a supportive community around me. So then it helps me mentally. So then I can go, okay, you know what? This is a little break time. I can, you know, focus on my mental and spiritual health. I can, you know, take hikes. I can do things that are going to be productive versus me having to spend time thinking about, oh my God. Because again, it happens, you know, we go goes down, and this is the business. It's like there's highs and then there's lows. You might not work like 6 months out of the year, and then all of a sudden you get a massive role, gone for 3 months. Oh my God! And then it's like you come back and you're like, what's next? And it's like you have to kind of go back and readjust to like the life, you know. So
and this is where your DJing comes in too, because it gives you that balance, being able to balance, you know, the financial side of it all. So it's always good as actors knows to have something else going on until you get that series.
You don't always want to just be that. I guess you could say just like the one trick pony, you know. So like whenever I'm not acting and, you know, I'm not, you know, doing a role or something, you know, I DJ around town. I do a lot of corporate gigs and private parties and just schools, and it keeps me engaged. It's something I love. I love music, and I love to share it with people, and I love to like see them dance and have a good time. So again, it's taking the gifts that you have and sharing them as best you can. They're God-given gifts, and that's what I think God wants us to do. And
absolutely.
So that's what I like to do.
Absolutely. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you again, Mr. Henry Noble, for tuning in with us this evening. Thank you for everyone who came into the room with our special guest, Mr. Henry Noble. I'm so glad. He's a beautiful person inside and out. Thank you for lending us all